I am super excited today. I'm here walking around property number one. And this property it has just about everything I want in a homestead. It has water, it has a decent sized land, it has location, it has a already set up deal. I'm walking around the property right now and, you know, I'll spin around and get like view of the house. It's an old farmhouse. I think it was built in 1920s, 1930s. So it's an old farmhouse, and it it's a move-in ready or almost move-in ready, and with very little work. And it has barns. It has a chicken coop. It has an outhouse, and it has fences that was already installed for horses. I'm taking a quick walk around. And I am big on, I grew up in the country, lived in the city, lived in the suburbs. Now that I'm older, have kids, I want to move back to the country and I want them to have the same enjoyment I had. Also, I want to start like a farm, market garden, homestead, raise a couple of animals, just do the homesteading thing, the simple life. And that's what a lot of people when doing homestead or when they say they want to do homesteading want to get back to is the simplicity, you know, doing everything, being self-sufficient, doing everything that is going to bring them back to having more enjoyment and having a sense of more fulfillment in their life. Um, you know, I've had the great jobs. I've been in the military, blah, 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 blah. And now I just want simplicity. And I think I can get it here. So there goes the outbuilding. There goes the barn right here. There goes the chicken coop. And it's just a nice, small, well, I consider small, 20 acres. It's a little bit less than 20 acres, like 18.95 or 19.5. Forget the exact amount, but it's a nice, decent sized property. When looking for a homestead, I wanted the very minimum 20. Now I could work with something smaller like 10 or 6 or 8, but I everything told me like, what to do to eventually expand and do what you want to do. I'm going to need 20, at least the very minimum 20 acres, and this meets the minimum. Beautiful rolling hills. Like I said, the fences for horses, because this was the last owner originally had horses, and now it's up for sale. The son's up for sale. The original passed away. The son is selling the property. Got a nice mixture, about I think 10 acres or so of open space, and the other 10 acres is wood trees where the house sits. The property does have some negatives. It does have neighbors. There's neighbor 1 and 2 across the street, neighbors 3, and another neighbor you cannot see. It's right over there somewhere. So it has a couple of neighbors. I didn't really want to have any neighbors because I just wanted to be pushed back into the property, or just away from neighbors. But it's a great price. It reaches right in the middle of our budget. And everything is, really, really set up to just start and just go without putting in too much work. Like I can like the field in front of you're seeing right now. I can really just start my garden, start my, chickens, have cows, start the farm without doing too much work. Has pine where I could use for lumber later, and to, redo the barn or set stuff up. And it's just a nice piece of property. Now, some of the downsides to this property is that it doesn't have the stream going through it. It does have a spring and it does have a pump, but it doesn't really have the stream going through it. And as I take you on other homestead properties, properties 2, 3, and 4, I call this property 1, you'll see that some of these properties have streams in front of them or streams behind them. This one doesn't have the stream, but it does have water, so that's a plus. And it looks like it's the spring that runs down into the pond is like it's a all season spring, so you're gonna have it in the fall, in the winter, in the summer, in the spring. So all 4 seasons, that's not a bad thing. The next thing, I've said earlier I didn't want any neighbors, but that's doable. They're not anywhere close. They're way over yonder. I don't know if you can get perspective, but they're way over yonder, and they're out of sight, out of mind kind of deal. I'll put up some shrubs and bushes and some barrier plants. You won't be able to see them at all. Put up a couple more pine trees, just completely block them out. So that's not a big deal. What I didn't want to do was buy a house or a piece of land on the that has road frontage, where it's a major cut through, and that's the biggest drawback to this property. It has road frontage, which isn't a bad thing, but I was looking for something more quiet and more just tucked away in the back, so I can do my stuff and have, without any issues or anyone like trespassing. I definitely don't want to have anything that the property lines are funky, where I can't discern my property line from the neighbor's property line, or and I would have loved to have something that backs into a national park, because I know that there's no one that's going to be building beside or behind me. And a few of the properties I've looked at had national parks. They're a little further away, and that's another thing I had to take into account, was the distance from work, because I still do work in the city, and that's still going to be my livelihood. A scientist by trade, and I like that. I like technology. I like being a scientist. I like all the cool toys and gadgets I get to play with. I like everything I do about work, so it's not really work. But like I said, at the same time, I do like simplicity also, because that's how I grew up as a kid. I grew up climbing trees, picking fruits, getting apples, mangoes, everything from off of a tree. And that's what I want for my kids. We're coming on to the back end of the property. Let me cross this barbed wire right here. And so the property is, like I said, it's about 20 acres. Has this flow right here, this water flow right here is from the pond, from the spring. So, it cut through. Yeah, so it's not that bad. It is well and septic, so that's a bonus. I do not want city water. I wouldn't mind city sewage, but I don't want city water. I'm going to do rain catchment, and I'm also going to do spring. It's an artesian spring, so I'm going to tap the spring, and I still have the well. So, I have a variety of sources of water. Water is very important when it comes to homesteading and having your animals. So this is basically property 1. Super excited, because this is the number 1 property on my list. I haven't taken out a contract on it yet, but if this one sells, there are many more. Like I said, I have been searching for nearly 2 to 3 years now. Maybe 4 years now, for a piece of property that was just right for me and my family. I want, when the kids grow up and they feel like they're coming to grandma's house, feeling it like, they never left. Hopefully the kids will take over the homesteading farm, and, just have a nice, decent situation. Well, coming up on the final minutes, and I'm trying to get as much as possible video as possible. So until next time, I will see you again. From the smartest guy in the room,